I used to work the night shift at a small fast food restaurant on the outskirts of town. We were open 24/7, but after midnight, it was just me and a cook in the back. The place would be dead quiet, with only the occasional drunk customer or long-haul trucker pulling through. One night, around 2 a.m., I was at the register, half asleep, when a car rolled up to the drive-thru speaker. I gave the usual greeting, but there was no response, just static. After a few seconds of silence, I asked again, "Hello? Can I take your order?" Still nothing, just static. Then, after a long pause, a low, whispery voice crackled through the speaker. "I see you." I felt my stomach drop. I peered through the drive-thru window, expecting to see someone sitting in their car, but the lot was empty. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to figure out if it was a glitch, but then the voice came back, louder this time. "You should really lock the doors." I whipped around and scanned the restaurant. The front entrance was locked. The back door, I wasn't sure. My coworker was in the kitchen, so I ran to the back, heart pounding. Sure enough, the back door was slightly open, just a crack. I shoved it shut and locked it immediately. My coworker looked at me, confused. "What's up?" he asked. Before I could answer, the drive-thru speaker crackled again. That was close. I ran back to the front and looked outside. That's when I saw a figure standing at the edge of the parking lot, barely visible in the dim street lights, just standing there, watching. I told my coworker, and we both stared at him for a few seconds, before he suddenly turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. We never found out who he was, but from then on, I always double-checked that back door. I worked at a fast food chain for a few years, and the night shift always felt off. Something about the bright fluorescent lights, the empty dining area, and the eerie silence between orders made the place unsettling. One particular night, it was just me and the cook, Jason. Business had been slow and we were both just killing time. Around 3 a.m., a group of drunk customers came in, rowdy but harmless. I took their orders while Jason fired up the grill. As I was bagging up their food, I suddenly felt a strange cold breeze against my skin. At first, I assumed it was just the AC kicking in, until I saw Jason standing frozen near the walk-in freezer, his face pale. "Dude, did you open the freezer?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I turned my head and immediately felt my stomach drop. The freezer door was wide open. That wasn't normal. Our freezer had a heavy latch. It didn't just swing open. It had been shut all night. I walked over cautiously, peering inside. Everything looked normal at first. Stacks of frozen patties, boxes of fries, bags of ice. But something on the far wall caught my attention. A handprint. It was pressed into the frost-covered metal at the back of the freezer, a large human handprint. "Was that there earlier?" I asked. Jason shook his head. "Hell no." The worst part. The print was frozen solid, not fresh, not something one of us had just touched. We both stepped back, and Jason grabbed the handle, ready to slam the door shut. But before he could move, we both heard something. A faint scraping sound, like something dragging across the freezer floor. We froze. It was quiet for a moment. Then a sharp knock came from inside the freezer. We both bolted. I didn't stop running until I was at the front counter, my heart pounding. Jason followed, slamming the freezer door shut behind him. Neither of us wanted to open it again. The next morning, the manager came in, and we told him what happened. He laughed it off, until we showed him the security footage. At exactly 3:01 a.m., the freezer door swung open on its own, no one near it. And right before Jason noticed, a A shadowy shape flickered in the corner of the camera feed, right by the freezer. The manager turned pale. After a long silence, he finally muttered, "I need to tell you something." Apparently years ago, an employee had gotten locked inside the freezer overnight. They didn't survive. The company covered it up, calling it an accident, but the old-timers refused to go near the freezer at night. Now I know why. After that, I always made sure the freezer was locked tight, and I never, ever went near it alone. It was 1:30 a.m., and I was at the front counter of a 24-hour fast food restaurant. The night had been slow, just a few truckers and exhausted night shift workers coming in for coffee. The only sounds were the soft hum of the fryers and the occasional voice crackling through the drive-thru headset. Then the front door chimed. I looked up and saw a man standing just inside the entrance. He was tall, thin, wearing a hooded jacket. His face was obscured by shadows, and he wasn't moving, just standing there, completely still. Normally, when customers walk in, they either approach the counter or glance at the menu. He did neither. I waited a moment, then asked, "Hey, can I help you?" No response. He just stood there, swaying slightly. I glanced over at my coworker, Lisa, who was cleaning the soda machine. She didn't even look up. Something about him felt off. My skin prickled. "Sir?" I tried again, my voice a little unsteady. Still nothing. Then he moved. Not normally. His body jerked forward in 3 stiff, unnatural steps. Then he stopped again. I took a step back. My heart pounded. "Lisa," I muttered, keeping my eyes locked on the man. "Do you see this guy?" She looked up, frowning. "Who?" I pointed right at him. Lisa followed my gaze, staring directly at him, then shrugged. "There's no one there." My breath hitched. I turned back to the man. He was closer now, not by much, just a foot or two, but I hadn't seen him move. Lisa walked right past him to grab a stack of trays. No hesitation. She didn't even flinch. My stomach churned. I could feel my pulse in my ears. "Lisa." There was a man standing right in front of me. She raised an eyebrow, then checked the security camera monitor. "Dude, you're freaking yourself out. There's no one on the cameras." I turned back. The man was gone. The front door never chimed again. I rushed to the entrance, stepping outside into the cool night air. The parking lot was empty. The sidewalks were dry. No footprints, no sign that anyone had ever been there. When I got home, I pulled up the security footage. At 1:30 a.m., I watched myself looking up, my lips moving. I was talking to someone, but on the screen, no one was there. I checked every camera angle. The door opened on its own, and I reacted like someone had entered, but the space in front of me was empty. Then, I noticed something even worse. As I turned away in the footage, my reflection in the window didn't move right away. For a split second, it stood still, staring at the door, even when my real self had already turned back toward the counter. I shut off my phone and didn't check the footage again. The next day, I transferred to morning shifts. I didn't want to be there when the door chimed again.